Okay, so we have seen that particular specific nested layout, how we can do that. Layouts within the layouts. Whenever we want to make the complex layouts, then we have to use it. We also have another way to do that particular relative positioning, because in the linear layout always go vertical or go horizontal, but that's not always required. Just like we have seen this particular specific layout, the text view on the left and input field on the right, again a text view on the left and right, and then we have two buttons over there. So we have another layout that is a relative layout. This particular relative layout is being replaced by the constraint layout in the latest versions of the, but what is the concept here? Intent to reduce the need of the nested layouts. We want to reduce the number of nested layouts. Why? Because if we look at that, we have one big layout, linear layout, that's an object, that's a class object, and inside we have a linear layout first, which is holding this particular specific text view and the edit text, and then again we have a second or third layer in the linear layout, fourth linear layout. Everything is an object, all these four linear layouts. The bigger one, then which is holding the name and edit text, which is holding the password and input field, and then this is holding the. So we have four linear layout. As I told you, whenever you are going to play that particular specific, this particular line, that whole layout is going to be created. It means it will create four objects of the linear layout. Four objects. So that will take a lot of memory, man. And of course it will have some implication on the performance and efficiency of the particular application as well. If we have more objects, it is having more memory coverage. So we need to manage all those things together. Okay? So to reduce that particular specific number of objects, they come up with the relative layout. What the relative layout do? We are not saying that you are going to organize into a specific table or vertically or horizontally, but we are saying that you can position different objects based on the parent, top, left, right, and bottom, and then you can also position them according to the other objects within this particular layout. We need to give them the name. For example, I can say that James, can you sit on the right of Lily? Or who else? Patel? I can only remember the last name. Lily is studying with me from the last week semester as well, so I know the name. Who else? No, I don't know. You are genius. So, Bele? Yeah, he's here. So, man, I can position different students based on you go sit on the left of the X, on the front of the Y, or on the back of the Z. So we are positioning different components based on the other components which exist in the layout. That is the relative layout. So we can position two ways. Number one thing, based on the parent. Go and position yourself towards the top of the parent, bottom of the parent, left of the parent, right of the parent. Or you can position on the top of that particular specific component with the name ID. So we need to provide the ID here, because without the ID we cannot name them. Okay? So that is the relative layout, relative to the parent and relative to the other components. We can also position with the X and Y exact position, or this X position is this particular specific pixel or something. Yes, we can do that. That's not relative, that is more kind of a hard-coded exact position inside the layout. But these positions are possible, and that's the relative layout, which was the older one, and nowadays we will more concentrate on that particular constraint layout. So let's I will show you this particular specific video a little bit later because I don't want to record a video with another video inside it. Okay, so you can see that particular video. I will show you that particular specific video later on. So here you can say that constraint layout. Now we can constrain different things. Left of that particular specific component, align yourself to the right of the component A. Align your top to the top of the component of A. Align your right to the right of the parent. So these are different constraints of the positioning that we are applying on B. And similarly, here on A, we are saying that constraint yourself, your left should align to the left of the parent. And then we are leaving some margin or margin on the left. That's why it is not sticking to the wall, but it is having some space in between. And then constraint your top boundary to the top of the parent, and again we put some constraint padding or margin on the top. And then again we are saying C, constraint your left to the left of A, constraint your right to the right of A. So you can do a lot of things here. So similarly, you can imagine what is happening in the second picture. So we are positioning different components based on the top, left, right, and bottom of the parent, or top, left, right, bottom of the other component which exist inside this particular specific layout. But before we can relative layout with respect to the other component must have a name, ID. We need to assign that ID. Constraint to the left of the parent, constraint left to the right of the parent, right of A, constraint top to the bottom of A. All these are the relative constraints. Again, we are saying that here that B should align itself to left of the B should align itself to the left of A. And then we are saying that left of B should align itself to the left of A, but we are putting some margin over there. We are putting some space. So that's not exactly on that, but it is a little bit further away. And similarly, we can have like the contents of A, they align itself to the contents of B and A. We can put the imaginary line and then we can align it to that particular specific imaginary line and so on. So there are multiple ways to do the things. So automatically create the constraint. I mean, you can, we have these automatic constraints. You can just do that and it will automatically create all those constraints for you instead of typing them in the XML file. We have these in the visual paradigm. But as you know, I don't work much in the visual paradigm, much work in the XML text form. Okay. So we have different buttons. Text view we have seen the button, we have seen the checkboxes, we have seen the radio buttons, toggle button, spinner, constraint layout, card view. That's what we'll talk about. This is what we are talking about, the constraint layout. And toggle button and the spinner, we will try to put those components inside our constraint layout and see how we can do that. Then we have different buttons. That's a normal button that we have already seen. These are some constraints. Constraint left to the left of parent, constraint right side, right edge or right boundary to the right of the parent. Then we can also change the type of the style of that particular color. We have a style here, style component. There are a lot of built-in styles which are already there. You can find a lot of, I have just used few of them colored, so it becomes something like this. If we have changed the style, app compare.button, it becomes simple, normal button. We have a borderless, so it becomes something like this. We have the borderless and colored, so the text inside this particular specific, it becomes colored. We also have the image button. We can have source, which is a drawable, and then we can put those button. We can also have the image button, and then we have a source. We also put some text over there. We can also have simple button, and then we can see the drawable left. drawable top, drawable bottom, drawable right. So this particular specific image will go to the top, left, right, or bottom of that particular specific text. Multiple ways to do the things, whatever is required, whatever you feel it's a better or good GUI design which will attract more users into your application, you can select. There are different ways, different styles of the buttons. Text view, we have already seen it. You can change text size, you can change the text color. We have the text alignment, we have text bold. Remember I show you that particular specific color palette, or no? In the materialdesign.io, that's a material design by the Google. They also provide you a color palette. I can show you quickly. It is here. So let me simple go there, and where is my, okay, and then I can just simply say that material design, and this is the very first materialdesign.io. And if you look at that, we have a color tool here. Maybe I can go into the design. Yeah, we have this one color tool. If I click on that particular color tool, it will open up that specific look. So we have, okay, got it. We have different colors here. You can click on that specific color, and then you can find different light shade or dark shade or normal shade. You can just simply take that particular specific information and put it here. Whenever you are saying that color, text color, and then in the double quote you put that particular number, that will become the color of that particular specific. Maybe it's a background, maybe it's a text color, whatever you want. So that's a good resource to find out the colors, exact, you know, the number that you want to use inside your application. And you can also design some colors inside the resource. Okay, we have inside the resource folder. Okay, and then we have the values. Inside the values we have those colors, and then here we can define it. For example, I say that color, my color, and then I can copy paste that particular specific color here, and then I can just go into my layout, and then I say that text color, and I say my color. Look at that, it changed that particular color for me. Understand? So that is the color palette that we can use in our whenever we are developing the application. It will help us to visualize our color schemes. Fine, we can also have a bold or italic. One more thing is here, in that particular specific text style, it also allow you to have multiple values. The multiple values for this particular specific attribute. How I can show you, where is that particular text view? Let me close it down. So here we can say that this is my text view. I say text style, I have bold, it make it bold, but I can also say that bold and italic. So I have to put that particular specific pipe sign, and then I can give the second value. Not every attribute have the two possible values. Understand? If it is allowed to have two different values for the attribute, then it should be separated by a pipe sign. Understand? So this is how you can play with the text view. We have the properties like auto size, text type, uniform. You say that width is equal to 100 dp. For example, here I am just trying to say that what is that auto size. Auto size, okay, type, and then your uniform. It does not making any difference. Let me change that particular specific to 200. Okay, 200 dp. And I also okay, that's why it is not changing it. The reason is that we have say that this thing let me, okay, where is my cursor here? I make it 100 dp. So now you can see that it is becoming bigger. According to the space available, it is trying to grow its size. Understand? So that is the one property that is here. And then we have, again, we have background. You can change that particular background. It will become something like this. We can do something like this. We can say that, let me see, background. And now I want to use that particular color palette to find out that particular background. Maybe I say that I like green one. I say this thing, I just copy this thing from here and then I paste it here. So that becomes something like this. We can also put something like this elevation. It will give you the 3D effect. 10 dp. So if we just try to run this application, then maybe we can see that visual effect. It is a little bit higher, look like it is a higher. So it look like there is some, it is not something like that. Maybe we can put some padding here. To padding in the linear layout, padding 30 dp. Look, you can see that this shadow is here. Okay, so that looks like it's a little bit higher. So you can change that particular specific thing within that particular specific, make it more interactive, make it more attractive, and so on. So we have a padding, we have text view background we can change. We have checkboxes, we have seen it. Checkbox checked is true. If you want that whenever it is appearing, by default it is checked, or you want it is unchecked. So you can save that particular thing. Checked is equal to true, and if it's checked is equal to false. So for here it is true, here it is false. By default it is false, it is not checked. So you give this particular specific checked is equal to false, yes or no, doesn't matter. Again, we have a radio buttons. We can have radio buttons, we have margins, all those things we can put it over there. We also have a switch or toggle buttons. Toggle button, you can change that set whenever you are, by default it is not set. When you click on that, it changed the text to set, and now it is a set property. And then we also have a switch buttons, which are switching the things over there. We have a spinner, we want to show a drop down menu. I will give you the demonstration for this one as well. And then we have outer text. Edit text we have seen in the previous demonstration when we were talking about the nested layout. We can give the input, we can choose different input styles for that particular specific input text. Plain text, passwords, we have email, phone numbers, postal addresses, multiple line text, time, date, and number. Okay, so let's switch to our application again. Go back. Let me close it down. This is our grid layout, and now I close this project and just try to start a new project. And then I say that's empty activity, and then I say that I want to work with the constraint layout. Okay, fine, and then I say finish. And as you know that it will by default create a main activity, and it's so now if we look at that particular preview, it is giving me a text box. If we look at that, some constraints which has already been applied over there, it is saying that align your left to the left of the parent. Let me show you. I just delete it. Now I'm saying that constraint left to the left of the parent. By default, it is always try to align itself to the top left corner. By default, whenever we are putting a new thing, automatically go here, unless and until we put some constraints here. And then we say that constraint top to the top of the parent. So left and top we have constraint. If I just try to constraint another thing, that constraint right to the right of the parent. Oh, it is coming center line. Why? Because we are saying that align yourself to the left of the parent and right to the right of the parent. So this is kind of a gravity which we have applied on this particular specific component. Left is pulling itself to the left and right of the parent is pulling itself to the right, and because both of these forces are equal, it will come into the center. If I want to make it vertical center, I can just add another constraint, that is pull, because we have already the top to the top of the parent, this one, top to the top of the parent, and if we say bottom to the bottom of the parent, top is pulling itself towards the top, bottom is pulling itself towards the bottom, again it will go into the center of the screen. So let me add that particular specific constraint here as well. So we can say that constraint bottom to the bottom of the parent. So now you can see that it become vertical and horizontal center of the screen. Let me put a ID here. This is our central text. Understand? I just give them the ID. Now I want to add a spinner. What is a spinner? Spinner is a drop down. I say that I want to make it 200 dp width, and I don't want this thing. I want to self closed it, and then I have that particular specific height is wrap content. Right now there is nothing here. Now we have two different ways to put the values inside that spinner. Whether we do it programmatically, we create a list of numbers, list of elements, maybe strings or something like that. But because we are not talking about the programming yet, we are only concerned with the GUI design, graphical design only. So what we will do, we will add an array of strings in our resource folder. Where is the resource? These are the resource folder. Inside we have the values. We also have the string arrays. We can also add something like this. We can right click on that. I say that I want to add a values resource or other resource. Can we do that? We have the values resource. Okay, I can do, and then I can select, it should be a main. I can say that string underscore arrays, and I click it here. So look at that, I have that particular specific resource file here, and then here I can say that string, we have a string array, and then I can give the name, spinner underscore data, this data that I want to show in the spinner, and here I can put some item. For example, my name is Abbas Malik. I can put more items here. What are the names? Everybody is signing that particular specific attendance sheet. Make sure that you are signing it, otherwise you will miss your attendance in the system. Whatever, what name I should put it here? Moiz Malik, my son's name. Okay, I'm just trying to fill that particular. Maybe I can put Android. We can, oh, not this one. Item. Then I can put, for example, iOS. Not this one. Don't using that copy paste. Control V, item, and then we say that Windows. Again, item, and then we say that Mac OS, and then we can say that Linux. Okay, I think that should be enough. I put and create a resource which is an string array. Okay, that is present inside. So we can create other resources as much as possible. I just created a new resource file. You can also do the same thing here. Inside string layout, you can go there that within that particular resource tags, you can say that I want to create a string array, I want to create a style. Okay, you can give the name, you can do the same thing here as well, no problem. But I create a new resource file, and inside I define that particular specific array, a list of items that I want to display within that particular specific this one. So here I send what are the properties? List data, no. Let me see that where is my spinner? Do we have the spinner here? Yeah, so if we look at that, we have the entries property that we need to fix here. So we go back here and then we say that entries, not EBN, entries, and then here we can say that, remember that arrays, and this is the array that we have defined over here. So we can select this one, and now you can see that the first entry automatically coming up here, Abbas Malik. Maybe we can put some padding 10 dp, and now you can see that this thing, maybe we can say the text alignment, make it center. Can we change the text size? No, that's not here. Okay, so we have this thing. Fine. Why it is showing me this particular specific? Look at that, by default it is coming where? On the top left corner. Let me show you one more thing. I say that I want to put a margin on the left side. I say that give me a 20 dB space. Oh, it is not working. It is not giving me margin on the left side. It is not leaving any space. Why it is not leaving any space? I just add one more thing here, a constraint left to the left of the parent, and as soon as I give this constraint, it is giving me the margin. Understand? So if you want to apply the margin on the left, you must have the left constraint. If you want to apply the margin on the top, you must have the top constraint. If you want to apply the margin on the right, you must have the right constraint. Otherwise, it is not going to work. You are saying that I am putting the margin, why it is not coming up? Okay. So here again, I say that margin top, and again I put 20 dp, but it's still not working unless and until we are putting that particular constraint top to the top of the parent. So now you can see that particular constraint is there. Understand? If I want this particular specific, let me add an image, image view. Yep, I say that 100 dp, and then I also have 100 dp, and I want, let me go back to my files and then bring that something. Okay, what we can do, we can have the Charizard, or okay, I can put that a resource file inside my drawable and then paste it here. I just copy a file, image file from my folder, and I am putting into the drawable. It say that Nindorono, it's something like that. So I can just put that particular specific source, and where is that nin? So we have that particular, again by default it is aligning itself to the top left corner. Now I want this thing here in the center but at the bottom. What I should do? What constraint I should put over there? Constraint bottom. Okay, constraint bottom to the bottom of the parent, but I want to center line, horizontal center. What I should do? Constraint left to the left of the parent, and right to the right of the parent. Okay, so constraint left to the left of the parent, and then we also say that constraint right to the right of the parent. So now you can see, and similarly I just try to copy this particular specific image here. I want it somewhere here at this particular vertical center, but on the left. What I should do? Left to the left of the parent. Constraint left to the left of the parent, and constraint top to the top of the parent, and then bottom to the bottom of the parent. So we can say that. And what if I want this particular specific image here on the right side? So we can do the things here. Let me remove this thing here from the left to the left of the parent. Instead we say that constraint right to the right of the parent. So it is coming here. What if I want it somewhere here on the top? Again, you can easily. But what if I want something like this on top? I want to circle around this particular specific image with this thing. So this particular specific text view that we have given here. So let me change that a little bit here. Okay. I want to make it 50. I want a smaller image. Okay. And I want this is here. What I want that this particular specific image align itself to this top left corner of this particular central text. Let me change few properties here. This is our central text, and I say text size 20 sp, and I say that text color, I want to make it accent color, it is more visible, and then we have that 50. So what I should do, that should align itself to this top left corner of this particular central text here, this particular specific point. Okay, I don't want to do that. I don't want to change any constraints here. What I should do? Constraint, I want its right side to the left of this one. Yes or no? So constraint right, and if we look at that, constraint right to the right of, or constraint right to the left of. So I select this thing, and now we have the central text ID, the ID that we have given here. The ID that we have given here, it is there. So we are saying that not the parent, align yourself. Now if you look at that, this right side is actually aligning itself to the left of this particular specific text. If I click on that, you can see this particular specific constraint here in the blue line. Now I want that apply constraint. If I want to pull it here, then what I should do? Constraint this particular to the top of, look, I can also do visually. Just control. I just click on that particular bottom side, and then I assign it to this one. If you look at that, it automatically constraint bottom to the top of central ID. Understand? And what if I want it in the center? Not here, but in the center here. Left to the left of, right to the left. So now here we don't, this is fine. We want this particular specific file, it's right here on the top, but we want it center aligned here of this particular specific text box. What I should do? Left to the left of this one, and right to the right of this one. It becomes center aligned. Understand? Is it fine? And similarly, if I want somewhere here, let me I put it here, I remove all those constraints, and I try to constrain it. I want something, it's to the right side of this one. So I say that constraint left of this one to the right of this one, and bottom to the top of this one. Automatically it is coming up. Not this one. It should be, why is, okay, fine. What is this?
To the bottom of the picture.
It is saying that constraint. So sometimes, you know, we need to like, it is constraint is central ID to the end of this one. So bottom to the bottom of image view. Look, actually it has constraint. It give the ID to this one and assign to this one. That's what we don't want to do that. Okay, so we want something like this. The constraint bottom to the top of central ID. Okay, again we can do something like this. I'm just want to like, I want something here in the middle and in the I mean down here as well. So what I can do, I can just remove those constraints and again try to, I top to the bottom of this one and right to the left of this one. It will align itself. Fine, and then again that is fine, but if I want that right of okay, the right is not is going to work here. Let me control it here. I say that right to the right of this one, left to the left of this one, and the top to the bottom of this one. So you can play with that particular specific constraint layout like this. I mean, I'm circling around that particular. You can also put something here on the left side. Okay, align itself to the left, and then top and bottom to the bottom of and top of this one. Automatically comes something here on the left side, something on the right side. So you can play with. Understand? So let me put a few more things that we have seen that we talk about here. We have the spinner, these toggle button and switches, so we can put it over here. Let me go down here, and then I say that I want to have that particular toggle button, wrap content. I say that text on and text off. Okay, by default it is off. That's why you can see it is off here. So but point is, we can constrain, I want it somewhere here on the right side. So I say that constraint right to the right of the parent, and then I also want constraint top to the top of the parent, and we can put some margin top like 20 dp. Okay, we can also put some margin on the right side as well. Fine. We can also put that particular switch. And here we can say that text is on and off, so we can put some text here. It's switch test, and we need to, I want to bring it here on the bottom right corner. So I say that constraint bottom to the bottom of the parent, and then we say that constraint right, okay, constraint right to the right of the parent. So it is coming down here. Maybe I can put some margin bottom 40 dp, and then we can put some margin on the right, that is 20 dp. So we have these things. So let me run that particular specific application in the Android device which is running already there. So if you look at the bottom, we can see that Gradle is running, installing the APK. So if I just train it, look at it, on, off, we can have the list of elements, that is the drop down list. We can select different things from here. We have a switch button, it is working. Okay, so that is the constraint layout, and how we can constraint the positions of different elements within the layout based on the left, top, right and bottom of the parent, or with respect to the top, left, right and bottom of the other elements within that particular specific layout, just like we have did with this particular specific central text view. Okay, so that is our demonstration for the constraint layout, and in the next, after the break, we will talk about the card layout. Okay.